14 nights of racing, visiting 10 towns in 5 states. And now, NZ World Series Sprintcars is ready for the final chapter. This season has seen 7 different race winners. It's had its fair share of surprises.
Luke Dillon, first ever main event win in World Series. He does
its fair share of heartache.
Back. Oh, Lines! Got the helmet off already. Lines almost conceding this is over.
And plenty of drama.
I don't know what caused that thing, but the 97 car seemed to be involved in it again, so he's definitely going to get one coming here sooner or later. I'm tired of a tore up damn race car. And
then there were the moments that took our breath away.
Final lap, final corner, Lines goes to the top and he gets him. And on that one, oh, contact with Johnson. Oh, it's a train wreck. Now, he doesn't realise at this point he's on fire because the fire suit is doing its job.
Amongst all the doubters, we saw the youth rise up and ultimately dominate the sport. This season, just like the last, belonged to 23-year-old James McFadden. His raw speed and dogged consistency en route to Perth has left him in prime position to wrap up back-to-back titles this weekend. When NZ World Series Sprint Cars first started, a few years before McFadden was even born, it was tradition to start the tour in Perth.
The top teams were there to say good day to WA on December 1st.
Back then, the famous Claremont Speedway hosted the series opener. Today, WA is where the series concludes. And the racing has moved from the old showgrounds to the state-of-the-art Perth Motorplex. This fast, modern 500-metre venue reflects today's new age sprint cars. And it's the perfect venue to wrap up the multi-million-dollar road trip that NZ World Series Sprint Cars has become today. The hours of cleaning, fixing and travelling, winning, losing and bruising end here. It's time to crown our champ at the NZ World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe Grand Final.
And final round of NZ World Series Sprint Cars brings us to the ever-windy Perth Motorplex over here in WA. These teams have travelled over 9,000 kilometres of Australian highways to get here throughout the space of just 2 months. If you put all those locations into Google Maps, it comes up with 220 different directions. It's fascinating stuff, and it's been a cool trail so far. But here this weekend at the Motorplex, we figure out who's going to win it. To the championship story, and yes, James McFadden does have a commanding lead, and really he'll need a diabolical weekend to lose the title from here. Stewart, Lyons, Dillon, Kading, all fighting for second. Also the top contractor driver is up for grabs as well. Daniel Pesca's been very strong in his rookie season. On the subject of that young South Aussie, Danny had a very bad night here on night 1. To bring us up to speed with what's happened there, let's go over to Brian Ingerson.
Thanks, Chad. Well, Daniel Pesca, that crash last night resulted in a trip to hospital for you. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. They just checked me out and they gave me an x-ray and I'm all good to go. So.
And showing the true spirit of Australian Speedway, someone's loaned you a car to race in this final round tonight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I gave him a ring, the Miller family a ring this morning and asked him and he thought he'd think about it and then he said yeah, and that was great and I can't thank them enough and, you know, for giving me the car and everyone working on it, you know, the Bradfords, you know, all these crew guys and my dad and everyone that come over, Brad, you know, I can't thank them enough. Hopefully we can get going again tonight.
It really demonstrates the family spirit of Speedway, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's great. You make a family out here.
Yeah. Now tell us about that crash last night. You've had some big hits. Where does that rate in your career hits?
Probably around about 5th. It wasn't too bad. It just took a long while to stop rolling, but it wasn't too bad.
What does it mean to you to be able to race in this final round of World Series as a contractor driver?
It'd be massive, but see what happens. I'm not sure. I love the track and, you know, hopefully we'll be back next year.
Let's hope so. Good luck.
Thanks.
And time for a look at qualifying for the final round of the ENZED World Series Sprintcars presented by Hog's Breath Cafe at this magnificent venue, the Perth Motorplex, near Kwinana Beach in Western Australia. And there is Jason Kendrick, a guy that many believe is going to be extremely tough to beat around this place. There is youngster Ben Butcher having a run also with Carl Dowling. Time for a look at qualifying. Jason Kendrick, always quick around here in that 92.9, number 11. Trent Pigden, I bet he's glad to be back on home turf as well, Jack Perkins.
Great to be here at Kwinana. This is one of the best speedways we have here in Australia, and it's the final round of the World Series Sprint Cars. Very excited to see who's going to come up on top as we're watching qualifying now, and we see Sean Bradford on screen.
Fastest man in qualifying. He saved his best till last. The WA Metal Recycling East Pilbara Tyre Service 57 on song and trying to get himself locked into some big points for tonight in front of the hometown crowd and a lot of the Bradford family showing up here as well. Shawnee was the fastest qualifier for Revolution Race Gear. Stephen Lyons second. Mayolo, strong result for him. Pesca, good result for him. Randy Hannigan in the top 5. Cam Gessner, Luke Dillon, Trent Pigden in the top 8. Jeff Leask and Ben Element rounding out your top 10. So Bradford on top of the heap right now. With 2 nights of sprint car racing here at the Perth Motorplex, the heat racing was always going to be intense. Robbie Farr looking very good. Great to have Jamie Oldfield sacrificing his WA late model campaign at Collie in order to race the sprint cars with World Series. McFadden trying desperately to arrest a point slide. The man right behind him, Shane Stewart, trying to run him down along with Stephen Lyons. Daniel Pesca was high points after the first round of heats. Great result for him. Luke Dillon, Lyons, Kading, Bradford and Cam Gessner really looming there as a big chance as well. Guys outside the house right now looking in, Shane Stewart, look at that, and James McFadden currently in a C main or B main point of view, so they've got plenty of work to do before they get themselves back up into tonight's A main. Time for a look now at the preliminary night B main, highlights thereof, and Shane Stewart alongside Carl Dowling, Jeff Leask, former world number 2 500cc motocross champ in that number 7 KSC KTM entry, the HSC KTM entry, and Dowling, young man out of Western Australia. Element there in 4th. Big racy racetrack, this one, Jack Perkins.
Yeah, it's cool, and there's a couple of guys that probably didn't want to be in this B main, namely Stewart in that monster machine. The top 6 will transfer through to the prelim A main tonight, and then it's all about night 2 coming up tomorrow night.
Just coming up and passing Oldfield there in a new situation for him, normally a late model star. Of course, the Oldfield family very much in love with their sedans. Stewart got the win and advanced through to tonight's preliminary A main. Jack and I will take a quick splash and dash ourselves and come back on the other side of this with the preliminary night A main from the Perth Motorplex. Welcome back to ENZED World Series Sprintcars presented by Hog's Breath Cafe at the Perth Motorplex. It's the last hurrah, the final round, and this is a bit of a look at highlights of the preliminary night A main. There's 2 nights here at the Motorplex. This is highlights of night 1, and what a great result, Jack Perkins, for Daniel Pesca.
Yeah, it's awesome to see young Daniel going really well. He's improved right through the year, and this to be starting an A main on the front row, it's a great effort and good job from James Rosenberg and Gawler Farm Machinery to help him out. It's their first full season. Looking forward to bigger and better things next year. But tonight is the prelim night. It's a 25-lap race, and let's see who can win. Stephen Lyons on the outside, Daniel Pesca on the inside, and we are green.
Great start for Daniel Pesca, but Lyons was supreme. Remember, he had the disappointment last weekend of basically leading on 2 occasions on the first and second night at Bunbury and had dramas, and Shane Stewart went on to take the win. Luke Dillon, nice little wheel stand. This is a big, high bank, fast joint.
Yeah, it's awesome. Real quick track, and normally a lot of the local boys go really well around this track. As we see, there's Luke Dillon running 3rd with Cameron Gessner in 4th. And have a look now. We've already seen Steve Lyons starting to catch that monster car. Shane Stewart, he won both nights last week. And how your fortunes can change in just a week's time.
Well, speaking of fortunes changing, how about Daniel Pesca here? An enormous crash down in turn 1. The car flipped and tumbled several times after contact with the lap car of Jeff Leask. Look at the top of your screen, the injectorsonline.com replay. That's a big tumble, JP.
Yeah, it is. It's a really tough one because you're going quite quick there on the approach to the corner. He just tangled wheels and it's just sent him up and over, and it's rolled over, and it's done a lot of damage to that GAULIFIERS machinery machine.
Sure has. And Daniel, very stiff and sore as well. That was a massive ride. He was running second behind Lyons too, doing a phenomenal job. Of course, after that, career best second place at Albany. Now look at this. Sean Bradford, dramas here for Shawnee. The 57 car just slows up, and Mayolo actually made contact. Now here is Kerry Madsen in the Kenerick Racing, number 29. He said dramas there as well in that car. Stephen Lyons, supreme. But you know what? It wasn't all very easy. Look at this final corner. The wheel comes off. He breaks the axle, slams the wall, and crosses the line on 3 wheels, Jack Perkins. That's almost like Lightning McQueen.
That is unbelievably good and bad luck at the same time. Good luck that it happened on the last lap, but bad luck that they had a problem there and the wheel fell off. Lucky to win that race. They'll be able to get that fixed for tomorrow night. As we look at the injectorsonline.com replay, he's committed. He can see the checkered flag. He's probably got the victory speech ready to go, and that right rear wheel has come part of the car and into the fence. Bit of top wing damage, but I guess still lucky to take the win.
Look at that. The wheel almost went back over the car. Just remarkable situation. He had bad luck last weekend. Finally, some good luck for Stephen Lyons. Here's another look from the inside. Man, if that had happened 20 metres earlier, he wouldn't have got there. Remarkable. A broken axle ends his day, but still gives him the win. I've never seen anything like that before, Jack.
No, it's like I said, you're committed. You've seen the checkered flag. You never think that something's going to happen in the last 50 to 80 metres of racing, and it did. Like we said, it's good and bad luck because it's good it happened on the first night. He still made the checkered flag, and he'll be back tomorrow night.
Yeah, the official just rolling the errant right rear wheel off. It happened just in the nick of time. Lyonsy climbs out, shakes his head, can't believe his luck, acknowledges the crowd who absolutely erupt into applause. Some days you're the bug, some days you're the windscreen. Today, Lyonsy, you are the bug. Bryony Ingerson standing by to have a chat with this hard-charging Mount Gambier racer who still can't believe what just happened.
Stephen, congratulations, but that is one of the more bizarre finishes we've seen. What happened?
I don't know. I felt a shake with 1 lap to go. Especially our motor was sort of going down before that restart there, and I just felt a bit of a shake there, and seemed to have broken axle. So our luck hasn't changed, but it has. It's sort of finished over the finish line, so I'll take it.
Well, one more night to go, the final night of World Series Sprint Cars. Mathematically, still in contention for the title. What's your plan of attack?
Yeah, it's like a plan the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks. Just hit the track every time and do the best we can, and try and keep everything in one piece and get as many points as we can. The rest will take care. It's a long shot. I can't see it happening myself, but we'll keep our heads down and try and get a win.
Well done tonight, and good luck. You've got a repair job and a trophy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so here we go. Thanks very much.
Doesn't enjoy the interviews at the best of times. He reluctantly took that one. Lyons, there's your winner. Cameron Gester got second. Good job for him. Luke Dillon third. Mark Wells, strong result for the Geraldton Jet in fourth. Tim Kading, a top 5 finish for him. Mayolo Farr Hannigan, Ian Madsen and Shane Stewart. Look at the DNFs there. Kerry Madsen, Jason Kendrick, Daniel Pesca and Ben Element. All those guys with power crashes, unfortunately, to cope with. So after night 1, Lyons leads the points. It's interesting when you look, you can't even see James McFadden in that point score sheet at the moment. So Lyons is making up ground. Whether it's enough, I guess that's what we're about to find out. McFadden desperately clinging to that points lead. That was night 1. Of course, we come now to night 2. And I guess the information here, James McFadden, you would think, couldn't be beaten, Jack Perkins, but strange things can happen. We just saw that with Lyons.
That's exactly right. Fortunes can happen either way. And unfortunately, James McFadden hasn't had a lot of pace in the last 3 or 4 rounds here over in Western Australia. Steve Lyons and Shane Stewart, both chasing him in the championship. They've had really good nights the last few rounds. So let's see what happens. This is the final night of World Series Sprint Cars for 2013. Let's see what happens.
Gary Miller has graciously loaned Daniel Pesca a car. The last night's chassis was a complete throwaway. Let's have a look at highlights in front of an enormous crowd. They are packed in here at the Motorplex, 4 wide, and Robbie Farr gets himself into trouble. Butcher actually straightened him up just a bit then. Huge crowd here. What a venue, Jack.
Yeah, it's such an awesome venue. Of course, this is the place that replaced the Claremont Speedway as we look now at a replay of that incident between Robbie Farr and Ben Butcher.
Yeah, young Ben Butcher had nowhere to go. He actually did Robbie Farr a favour then. Farr got very crossed up and Butcher straightened him up. That's your injectorsonline.com replay. Here is Robbie Farr's perspective on all this. The car snaps loose and Butcher says, "There you go, old son.
And he's back in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't happen like that very often. Trouble here for the 81 car. This was a beautifully turned out car of Boland. He sheds the left rear wheel. We saw that happen to Daniel Pesca at Bunbury, but we've never seen anything quite like the incident that happened last night to Lyons. Trouble there for Harding. And here is Pesca in that borrowed Gary Miller J&J. Very nice of the Miller team to do that. Stephen Lyons leads the points after the third round of heats. Luke Dillon second, Cam Gessner, of course, Mark Wells and Tim Kading. You look all the way down to find James McFadden in 19th. He still has to get himself into the A main. Right now, he's in the B. So the points are in limbo just a little bit. Here's an Amadio Wines Open Red with Bryony Ingerson.
Trent Pigden, thanks for having a chat with us today. And you've invited us around to your house, which is just a stone's throw, really, from the Perth Motorplex.
Yeah, it is. It's only about 5 minutes drive from here, actually. It's pretty convenient.
You're one of the rookies on World Series Sprintcars this season, but also a relative newcomer to the sport in general. How did you get involved?
Yeah, it's a close family friend, actually. He raced sprint cars here in Western Australia. The Brady's had an American crew chief over, and yeah, he actually gave me the choice to actually have a drive on a sprint car, and Dad was actually over in China, so sent him a video, and yeah, he said, yeah, we might jump into it. So yeah, we jumped in feet first, really.
You've got the experienced Keith Giles working for you as a crew chief. That must be invaluable in helping your learning.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Giles has been around the sport a long time, and he teaches me a lot as well as a driver, because he's obviously raced before.
As the season's drawing to a close, what's perhaps the biggest thing that you've learned?
Don't expect too much in a sprint car, because whatever you expect, it normally never happens.
Your family a great support as well?
Oh yeah, Mum and Dad are great, and obviously my fiancée Chloe and family, they back me the whole way, and yeah, they're good. Without them, I definitely wouldn't be doing it.
You've recently become a father for the first time, gorgeous little Tyler. How is fatherhood treating you?
Yeah, it's good actually. He's a good baby so far. We'll see how long that lasts.
And you've got some ink to commemorate the moment. Can you show us?
Yeah, I've got I got his name tattooed last week on the back of my arm and stuff like that. So just his name and when he was born.
Your dad has asked me to remind you that you do have a real job, apparently. What is that? What do you do outside of racing?
Well, Dad's got a transportable building business, so I've got a team of guys and stuff like that. So I go in there and build transportables.
Okay, and in between work and racing, you must have some time to relax, recreation. What do you like to do? If you had more time, what would you do with it?
Well, normally in my spare time I do Thai boxing and stuff like that. We've got a ski boat and we go skiing quite a bit. Yeah, that's about all we do. We don't really have any spare time now. We do sprint cars.
What does the future hold for Trent Pigden and Pigden Motorsports?
We're going to go over and do a bit of racing in America this year. So, yeah, hopefully we can learn something there.
Your house here at Kwinana also doubles as the racing workshop. Do you mind if we go and have a look?
Yeah, let's do it.
Great. Trent, this is a pretty schmick operation you've got going on here. Custom built for the race team?
Yeah, just for the race shop. It was a shed, but we've fully lined it and decked it out for the race shop. We've got the 360 car. That's actually Dad's car.
Yeah, I noticed it had Dave on the side of it. What's the go there?
He built a car for himself. He sort of does a bit of practice and stuff like that. And
you got a 360 car in here as well?
Yeah, that's my 360 car there. And obviously this is my 410 car, my race car.
And plenty of room to park the transporter, of course.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we've got plenty of room out here.
Well, Trent, thanks for showing us around. I reckon if we were doing this MTV crib style, we'd need a half-an-hour show just to see everything that you've got here at the property. But I want to say thank you by giving you a bottle of Amadio Cab Sav. But before I do, as always, if you had to share a bottle of wine with one person of your choosing, who would it be?
Yeah, I'd probably definitely have to say Chad Reed.
Yeah? Why's that?
I don't know. I think he's just a superstar on a motorbike and he's done some pretty amazing things. So, yeah, he's probably my hero, definitely. Yeah,
fascinating character. I reckon you two would tear some stuff up.
Yeah, definitely. We'll give it a crack anyway.
Thanks so much, Trent, and good luck for the final tonight.
Thank you.
We'll duck into the pits real quick, and when we come back, the Vortex Wings Top 8 Shootout and the B Main at the Motorplex. Time now for the Vortex Wings top 8 shootout as Mark Wells pushes away, along with the 17 of Ian Madsen, subbing in the Mighty Motorsports number 17 car. Track is very wide right now, nice and racy. This guy here, the RGR Road Haulage number 21, what an amazing campaigner he's been for Western Australian Sprint Car Racing over 20 years now. And Ian Madsen back on the scene. He's doing a good job, Daniel Pesca, in unfamiliar equipment. The Gary Miller team, they even raced back to the workshop and retrieved another diff they needed for the car. So they really have helped this young man, Daniel Pesca, out. Dramas for Mark Wells, Jack. He's not even started at this point. They pushed the car away and he's pulled in. There's something gone very wrong there. So watch Ian Madsen locking in his time. And here is TK. Listen to these engines run around this place.
It's awesome. Listen to these cars at this track. It's such a fast, big track. We watch Tim Cady now through the top side there through 3 and 4, and he's done a 14.883. Daniel Pesca, as we said, in a borrowed car. That's what I love about Speedway. Everyone wants to help each other out to get back on the track. Awesome to see.
You're saying that 888 wouldn't necessarily loan a car to Gary Rogers Motorsport?
I'm not saying that so much, Wade, but it's just the nature of the Speedway. Everyone wants to get back out there and get back on track. It's not the same in many other forms of motorsport, but I'm sure if I went to ask Roland for a car, he'd lend me one.
Maybe his rental car. Here is the top 8 shootout now for the silver point of view. And Cam Gessner in the SJ Excavations entry. Sean Bradford. Can he finally get a main event win, Jack?
It'd be good to see they've put in a lot of effort the last few nights, had a strong performance the last few rounds, and it'd be interesting to see. We watch Cameron Gessner. Look how high he is up on the racetrack. Really got that thing flat out, trying to make it work. Let's see what the time is. It's a 14.945. A little bit slower than the first leg, but let's see what the rest of them can do.
Of course, Cameron killed a car at Bunbury when he absolutely drilled the concrete at Bunbury last weekend. So they've got a new car there, the Duggan family. So we see Shawnee B rocking the house here. It's a 14.353. That is quick so far. Can Madsen go better than that? And the Miracle Recreation Equipment, KRE Race Engines, Prostitute number 17. He's very good at this place. He's won here before. In fact, he won both nights of World Series Sprint Cars a couple of seasons ago.
And we can just see there inside that left rear wheel, the brake disc glowing. He's on the brake, so he's flat through the corner, just using a bit of brake to keep it inside, keep it turning. As we look now, Daniel Pesca in that borrowed car as we spoke about. I love this part of the night, the shootout where they're out there going as fast as they can to give themselves a grid position for that A main.
Sean Bradford, nice job. He gets himself through to the gold shootout. So too does Ian Madsen. So we're about to decide who is going to be on pole position right now. And Ian wheels the 17 car in, working with young Dylan Buswell. Great opportunity for Ian here.
It is beautifully turned out number 17 machine. It's a teammate to Shane Stewart's monster machine. We look now, Luke Dillon. He was our man earlier in the season. He won the first 2 shows, and now he's here for the last round into that gold section of the shootout. Let's hope he can put on a great show to finish the season.
He loves the bigger racetracks. He looked very, very comfortable at Bunbury. And now here at the Motorplex as well, Stephen Lyons. He's desperate to try and run down James McFadden, who is not in the shootout. So J-Mac has got plenty of work to do to hold on to that point situation. Lyons running the boards. In fact, Lyons will look at a 14.283. Right now he's on pole. Can Bradford knock him off? He's got to beat a 14.283, Jack.
Let's see what Bradford can do. The car looks pretty good, and it's a 14.371. Not quite quick enough. Our prelim A-main winner from the night before, Stephen Lyons, will be on pole for the A-main tonight.
The drama continues at the Perth Motorplex, and one of the local favourites, Mark Wells, is going to hospital. He has a suspected broken left foot, and it's because of the carnage that we just saw down in the footwell. He broke a drive shaft in that top 8 shootout, and the whole uni joint that connects to the front of that drive shaft exploded, and it sits right between his 2 feet, and it's taken out his left foot. So unfortunately, the Geraldton Jet, as he's known around these parts of the world, is off to hospital and won't take part in this A-main.
Time now for your B main, last chance qualifier, as we see Boland pushing away along with Brad Mayola. Let's take a look at your lineup. Again, like he was in last night's B main, Carl Dowling finds himself on pole, but look who's in the B main on that second row outside, Jack.
Our championship leader, James McFadden, on the second row of the grid in 4th position. Not where he'd want to be in the B main, but right now he's in that top 6, and the top 6 will transfer through to the A main. And let's look back at Nick Lacey, Ben Butcher, and a couple others and see how they fare in this race.
Jeff Leask inside second row alongside James McFadden. He needs to basically lock in to tonight's A-Main, and the championship is his. Mark Mozzie-House, he dearly left to get into the show as well. Just watching Leask together with Element. Oh my goodness, that's an enormous crash. Jeff Leask and Ben Element absolutely airborne down the back straight. The J&S Drilling number 44 car. Look at this wreck.
This is the InjectorsOnline.com replay, and you can see that Leask got in contact with Element. It sent the two up. It's a massive impact. That car at least gone over at least 6 times, and look at it land back on its wheels there. A lot of damage to both of those machines.
The HSE KTM number 7 laying there in ruins. The impact into the wall that he and Element had. Certainly Leask flipped more times, but Element, the impact of that car, by no means less significant.
That car of Elements has got a lot more damage to Leask's, but I don't think either of them will be taking part in the rest of the race here. Too much damage to get going, and that's a shame for both of them, both in transfer positions.
Wow, Element, there is Jeff Leask there, and there is Benny Element. Wow, he almost looked like he was saying, did you just do that, Perkins? He was looking right down the camera at you.
He was. You can see them forklifting that car off the circuit. Whenever the forklift's out to get a car off the track, you know it's game over. And how cool is that? General John Day, he's been going to Speedway longer than I've been alive. It's awesome to see him here for over 50 years, and what a great job he does.
Absolutely. Time to get back after it. Your InjectorsOnline.com replays, pretty graphic, weren't they, with Leask and Element. We see Pigden starting to get a run on McFadden now. J-Mac, quick to close the door, drops to the bottom. Most guys running the outside of the racetrack tonight, Jack. The inside hasn't had a whole lot of purchase. So we see Ben Butcher running down there. Kai Scroop trying it. Oh, Sheldon Brady on the inside there with Daniel Harding. Butcher now screaming around the top side. Oldfield also out there doing a good job. The late model star, there he is right through the middle in the black and pink car working with Scroop. Look at the crowd, Jack. Western Australia's turned out in their droves.
Yeah, it has. And touching on the racetrack, it's such a big track. It's really wide tonight. It's really racy. It's going to provide some awesome racing as we watch Trent Pigden up the inside. I'm really looking forward to the finish of this one, and that all-important A-Main is going to be awesome as well.
Watching Butcher here with Daniel Harding and also Carl Dowling. Dowlow trying to put a slider on Butcher. Relative newcomer to the sport out of Baldivis in WA. Wow! You see Dowling just nick the concrete wall and the sparks coming off the crash bar.
Yeah, it's like he got quite loose through that corner and got the rear of the car right up in the fence, got some sparks off the back crash bar, and he's back racing hard up the inside of James McFadden in that number 1 machine.
Dowlow goes to the bottom. Oh, he's all but turned. He nearly took McFadden with him. Keeps the car going. At least a 720. That could have been disastrous for James.
Very similar to what he did the lap before, as he got right up in the centre of 3 and 4. The rear got loose, and he's got it going as we watch now. Someone else doing the number. Oh, look at them going in tandem.
Sheldon Brady together with Kai Scroop. InjectorsOnline.com restart right now. The track is very slick. You know what just saved Carl Dowling out of all that? We went back to the last recorded lap. Because it went yellow, it gave him his position back. Otherwise, he was in big trouble. Nick Lacey and Mark Mozzie-House. James McFadden, Lacey and House. There is Corn as well. There is Pigden. A lot of the contracted guys in the B-Main right now, Jack.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars we wouldn't normally see in the B-Main, and they're struggling a little bit over here at the Motorplex. But James McFadden, he's got a little bit more speed out of that than from early in the night and earlier last night, and he's looking forward to getting through to the A-Main and trying to wrap up this championship.
Well, he's a remarkable competitor. You just saw then the checkers are out. James effectively will have enough points to hold on here once he takes the green and wrap up the championship. He will go back-to-back. That is remarkable. We'll see whether Stephen Lyons can go back-to-back after last night here at the Motorplex when we take a break and come back with the grand finale of World Series Sprint Cars. Welcome back to the Perth Motorplex. It is time, Jack Perkins, time to crown a back-to-back World Series Sprintcars champion. But James McFadden, he'll want to go out and try and win this deal rather than just going, hey, I won the thing, I'm in the main race, that's all I need to do. We know James is competitive. We know he'll want to somehow win this race. It's got to come from a long way back, though, doesn't he? Remember, he won the B main. That'll start him out of position 15 in tonight's A.
That's exactly right. As we have a look at the starting grid, Stephen Lyons on pole, Sean Bradford on his outside, Ian Madsen and Luke Dillon on the second row, and young Daniel Pesca in that borrowed machine in 5th place. You touch on James McFadden. Whenever you win a championship, you want to be known as the guy that's won as many races as possible. We know James won a lot early in the championship, but you're right, he'll want to win this last night to prove his worth, to prove he's the champion, and to prove to everyone that he's the number one.
Hasn't been on the podium in Western Australia this season. We see the drivers really motivating around here. The crowd really getting into it as well. They've all got their iPhones up around the Speedway as well as we get set for your 4-wide salute. Look at the John Day Utes. There's nowhere on the planet that has a pushcart team like the John Day Utes out of Western Australia.
Yeah, they do such a great job, and as we said before, been supporting sprint car racing and speedway racing for a long time as John Day, and it's an awesome tribute to this final round of the 2013 World Series Sprintcars. And who's going to win this final race? We've got Stephen Lyons on the pole, and let's see who can win into this first corner.
Great start for Lyons, but look at this up the inside. Wow, Ian Madsen, what a start from him on the inside. Oh no, Pesca has turned it around. We've got cars going everywhere. Oh, Pigden's emergency exit just got closed. He was trying to sneak through there. I think it was Cam Gessner.
Yeah, that's Gessner facing the wrong way. As we have a quick look at the injectorsonline.com replay, Pesca's got together and Gessner's gone around and Pigden just joined in right at the end.
You see Mark House unfortunately got caught up. I think he's damaged something in the steering. Watch House come through just then. Here's where you look at Pigden. He's trying to get through. Everything closes up in front of him in the yellow 19. Oh, can I get through there? No. Mark House, unfortunately, was trying to get out of the way as well. Man, that was a busy situation.
It was. It's all happening there. Shame for Daniel Pesca. He's lost the rear of that car, spun it round, and Gessner had sort of nowhere to go. And we also see Pigden coming in there. Now, I don't think Pigden have any damage. It's a small contact here. Just comes to a halt, and he should be able to rejoin.
Definitely damaged the left front corner of that 14 car of Mark Mozzie House. Look at this onboard shot right here. Down low with the crash bar. Here's where it got very busy indeed, and that was, in fact, Trent Pigden carrying the onboard for us. Oh, Mozzie House. Devastating the way that the night would finish up for the likeable Tasmanian. Looks like Cam Gessner too may have some damage that may prevent him from starting, though the push car, the PCB Holdings John Day push car, looked like it was manoeuvring into position. An enormous crowd here at the Perth Motorplex. We go on board with Sean Bradford. What can he do? Can he finally get a win? He's starting a bit further back than he would like to be. We get launched again, and once again, Ian Madsen off the bottom.
Awesome job from Ian Madsen. He saw a little hole at the inside of lines. He made it work, and he's got the lead now through 1 and 2 on the restart.
Sean Bradford up the inside on lines, and Sean spins. Oh, no. That is devastating for the young West Aussie. Oh, Oldfield had nowhere to go and clouted the concrete. Sean, here's the injectorsonline.com replay. Went to the bottom, and the car snapped around on the slick.
Yeah, it's a tough break there. He's gone for the move on Steve Lyons. He's lost the rear through the middle and spun that car around, and he'll have to rejoin from the rear.
Lacey did a nice job to weave through, and again, Pigden, he can't believe his luck at the moment, just avoids disaster as they pick up the Oldfield car. The number 96 has got Scarterfield smash repairs down the side, as so often many cars in Western Australia do. On board with Trent Pigden. That's a cool shot down there.
It is. That's something we normally see V8 supercars in the headlights, but this time in the front of Pigden's machine. What a great shot right down at ground level as we prepare for a restart. And Stephen Lyons on the inside, and Luke Dillon's got the restart on the outside.
You weren't going to see Ian Madsen, I don't think, go by Lyons again on the start, but he just about aced him coming off 2. The high side is the place to be. Luke Dillon in very good touch. Shane Stewart, bearing in mind, he was in the lapping situation last night. Stephen Lyons actually lapped him. He's back strongly, however, tonight. Interesting statistic for us too. Every night so far, we've had a 2-night format, Jack. The guy that's won the first night preliminary has won the second night A main. I wonder if Lyons can repeat that tonight.
It'll be interesting to see. Lyons will be doing absolutely everything he can to do that. On board now with our back-to-back champion, James McFadden. He'll be looking through it to carve his way through the field from coming through from the B main.
On board with Robbie Farr now. the Australian Portable Camp sponsorship down the side of the East Coast Pipeline. Number 7, everybody running up against the wall. Jason Kendrick, he will be lively around this place. There is McFadden with American Randy Hannigan. The number 1, James McFadden, is having a very good run so far, passing a lot of cars early.
Yeah, they must have made some changes to that car because he was in the B main. They weren't happy with the setup earlier on in the night, and especially last night as well. But he's carving his way through the field, and it's good to see our number 1 doing that.
Jason Kendrick always lively around here. Likewise, Ian Madsen. There is Kendrick and McFadden. And there is Kerry Madsen in the Kennewick racing car chasing his younger brother Ian. The Madsen brothers feared throughout the world. Whenever they show up, you know they're going to the front.
Yeah, that's cool to see both the Madsen brothers here. Kerry runs that Kennewick racing machine in the Outlaws over in America. It's cool to see him here tonight in the final round of the World Series.
Very sideways at the moment is Mayolo. Look at this. Trent Pigden got a very good run going. Track is very slick and shiny and black right now, so it's very hard to keep the car straight. Luke Dillon lapping Pigden now and Mayolo. Gee, Luke's flying at the moment. This number 81 car. Here comes Lindsay right up behind him, JP.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool shot. We saw Lindsay pass Pigden in the lap traffic up around the outside, and he's hunting down Luke Dillon in that 81 machine. This is going to be a pretty cool race.
I think that was Shane Stewart in there as well, starting to show his car speed. Lyons is hauling in Luke Dillon. He's trying to, bear in mind, these guys have been in the top 3 or 4 battle throughout the entire season. So Lyons would love to go past Luke. Luke, in turn, would love to wrap up this win and try and make some ground on picking up 2nd overall on Shane Stewart. So this race has got everything in it to play for points-wise. Lyons right up behind Dillon now. What a great race here at the Plex.
He's got a lot of speed aboard that number 3 Halls haulage car, does Steve Lyons. He'll be really looking now to try and make a move on Luke Dillon. As we're back on board now, James McFadden. He's dicing with Robbie Farr, who we spoke about. Well, hasn't done every round of the championship, but he's always got speed aboard that machine.
You see, he tried the big slide job, went back across the bottom and washed up just behind James. This track is very good for slide jobs, where you run from the top of the track down the bottom and slide up in front of your competitors. Shane Stewart is coming in that monster 7. Lyons is coming on Dillon. Spare a thought for Luke Dillon. He'd have no idea where these guys are fast. If they're quicker than him on the top side or the bottom, right now, Lyons has the element of surprise if he can get by.
Yeah, he'll probably be looking to do one of those speed jobs to get the track position on Luke Dillon here. You can see how much pace he's got through the middle of the corner and the exit. He just needs to try and find a way to get through.
Wow, Dillon really opened up some ground just then. Shane Stewart flirting with the slide job. It only came from about 3/4 track, then he didn't do the big full dive bomb on board with Lyons. See, they're running above the cushion. It's only very narrow, but they're running the left rear over that cush. Here is Kerry Madsen putting a slide job on his former teammate, Jason Kendrick. And Jason comes back very nicely in the Kendrick Racing number 11.
You see that quite often with the slide job there. You slide up through the middle, and then the other guy can come back on the inside, and you switch back, and that's exactly what Jason Kendrick does, as we see James McFadden now on the back of Kerry Madsen.
Couple of outstanding drivers on either side of the continent. Kerry only here for a couple of weeks with his Kennewick Racing team boss Bob Gavridich here this weekend. Then they head back to contest the start of the Outlaw Series in Florida. So Kerry got a full Outlaw schedule ahead of him again. On board with your race leader, Luke Dillon, doing a fantastic job. Lyons hit the wall and rolled. Something had to break there.
Yeah, that's a weird deal there. We saw Steve Lyons showing tremendous pace into the centre of the corner, and it's just bit on him and gone right into the fence, and he's ended up on his side. It's done a lot of damage to that number 3 machine, not the way he wanted to end the season.
A little bit of flame out of the exhaust still there from unburnt fuel now igniting as Lyons. He must be a very confusing feeling or disorientating feeling to be on your side like that. Now let's look at the car coming into the corner. It never even turned. Something in the front end broke there for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough deal for Steve Lyons there. You can see he's committed to the corner. He gets to the middle and it just does not turn. Puts him into the fence, digs in, rolls the car over. And like I said, that's a very disappointing way to end the season, especially when you're vying for that second place in the championship.
Here's the onboard view. He certainly had bigger crashes than that, but still, it'll hurt his championship points as much as anything. He's not a contracted driver, but his points all was looking very good. Remember, his luck was in last night. It seems to be out again tonight. It's a tough old game, JP.
It is, like we said, it's just a disappointing way to end the year. You've been strong all season, and to have to put a damaged, bent car in the truck to finish the year, it's never a good way to finish.
Lyons is climbing out of the car. Chad Nailon is right there with him. And Lyons obviously showing his displeasure.
Stephen Lyons walking from the top of the racetrack. Lyonsy, did something break there, or it seemed to just go straight?
Yeah, it did seem to go straight in. I don't know what happened. It just sort of turned down. I was sort of getting in Luke's hair a little bit too, so maybe that's something to do with it. But just I tried left hand down, but it just went straight in. So see what happens, eh?
Lyonsy, you've been so fast all season long. Is it fair to say that reliability's been the one thing that's cost you the championship?
Oh yeah, no. You know, the boys have been busting their butt all year, and I can't ask for any more than what they've done. Tough year, and things do happen. So see what happens, eh?
Tough one, mate.
The business end of the deal, folks. Welcome back to Perth Motorplex, the final race of the final round of the 2013 ENZED World Series Sprintcars presented by Hog's Breath Cafe. Luke Dillon doing a superb job to lead the South Aussie. In second, the American Shane Stewart. In third, the Sydney sider Ian Madsen. Fourth, it's Californian Tim Kading. In fifth, it's West Aussie Jason Kendrick. Have a look at the one car coming, JP, and Kerry Madsen as well.
There are some seriously big names up the front here. It's an absolute epic battle for the lead. We see James McFadden. He came through from the B-Mate. And look at him put the big move on them all. And he's got Kerry Madsen, who's looking for the switchback now.
Yeah, look at Kerry. He won't take kindly to getting past like that. McFadden really starting to get going. There is Californian Randy Hannigan. Wow, look at Madsen really applying the slide job. Farey wants to get in there as well. On the inside is Hannigan on Jason Kendrick. Oh, it's going on now, boys.
This is a pretty cool little battle pack here. There's a lot of guys in here trying to get track position back on board with Robbie Farr, and we can see he's working real hard. And look at James McFadden in that number one machine. Well, this is awesome racing.
Whoa, that was very, very close indeed. Trouble for Randy Hannigan. The MMS civil entry, the Matt Muir Motorsport number 53 car gets going again, but he lost a stack of ground, and we go yellow. And Nick Lacey. Oh, man. Nick Lacey. We just saw dramas for him. In the foreground was Stephen Lyons, almost indicating that there was a problem with the steering on that car. He was explaining that to an official as to what was going on. Working only lap 12 of 30. There's a long way to go. Luke Dillon, he won the first round. He'd love to win the last one. He's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, he started the year in such great circumstances. He won the first two rounds. He was our series points leader for the first few and just tailed off in the middle of the season as we travelled up the eastern seaboard. But he's got a bit of speed now, right when it counts the end of the season.
Look at McFadden. He's now challenging for 5th position. In fact, I think he got by Tim Kading. He did. And Kerry Madsen coming as well. You would expect Kerry Madsen would start to do this. One of the best drivers in the world today, driving a fantastic motor car. Kading trying to come back. See, he was sideways, almost in a left-hand, right-hand direction then down the straight.
He's cool to watch as Kerry Madsen. I was lucky to spend a bit of time with him a few seasons ago, him and his brother, telling some stories and showing us how they race, and he's a real cool racer. As we're back on board with James McFadden, he's tagged the fence there, and we'll see if Ian Madsen can sneak through, but no, he's still going okay, and the Madsen brothers are dicing together.
That's awesome too, and they won't be giving each other any room at all, these two. They play hard. Working lap 16 of 30, the grand finale of the ENZED World Series Sprint Cars, presented by Hog's Breath Cafe at the Perth Motorplex. McFadden now is coming after Shane Stewart. This is truly remarkable. He's come from position 15, and he's really got some car speed tonight. Probably the best, well not probably, definitely the best we've seen him in Western Australia since we arrived a couple of weeks ago.
Back on board with Trent Pigden. He's carving his way through the field after starting from the rear in one of the earlier restarts. His car looks pretty good, and what an awesome camera shot. Really shows you how dark and slick this racetrack is tonight.
Madsen right up on the cushion. I mean, right up there, nice and high, and that Kendrick, number 29. Huge crowd here, and John, gee, that's close. They've got the left rear almost more sideways than the front end coming down that straightaway. It's almost like they're fish-tarted. There's that much horsepower to still grab onto. Wow, that was close from J-Mac.
He's right
Dillon.
up. As we see Dillon coming inside. J-Mac was real high there. As we try and work out what's happened to Luke Dillon, our race leader, looks like he's out of the race.
That is unbelievable. That engine locked up. Something went horribly wrong with that car. There's smoke out the left bank of that engine. The action line marking Hog's Breath racing driver. I tell you what, I couldn't see anyone beating him. He was just superb, and to end up with that drama is heartbreaking.
That is a shame for him. He was going so well. and we saw James McFadden was reeling both of them in. But there's something terminal gone wrong with Luke Dillon's car. What a tough way to end the season.
What an expensive way to end it as well if it is in fact a motor issue. When they lock up like that, that's generally an engine problem. Luke would just be gutted. Yep, throws the Hans device back in the car. Who could blame him? He had that one. They were coming at him, but I think he had enough speed. Look who's in second place.
This is awesome from James McFadden. We've got 3 top quality drivers up the front here. Shane Stewart in that monster car, J-Mac in that #1 machine, and Kerry Madsen in 3rd. Let's see what happens.
Ian Madsen in 4th, Tim Kading in 5th. We go back at it. Big slide job coming from Ian Madsen on the bottom. Can't quite get J-Mac. Kerry Madsen has though. Kerry now up to 2nd. So this is an epic race. What a way to wrap up a great year for World Series Sprint Cars. On board with James. That camera is mounted on top of the roll cage, looking over to the top of the tail tank.
Yeah, some really cool onboard shots here tonight, and those guys have done a great job in that team to turn around what was a pretty ordinary race car early in the weekend, and now they're currently running 3rd and looking for that final spot on the podium.
Lap 24 of 30. McFadden searching. Either way, he's wrapped up back-to-back World Series crowns. Himself and Glenn Beaton have done a phenomenal job. Scotty Milling, they've given him everything he needs, James and Glenn, to go about their deal. They, of course, won their 2nd Australian Sprint Car title at Archerfield earlier in this season, and now they've wrapped up back-to-back World Series crowns. Gee, they're very, very close to the wall here. Monty Motorsport 2 will effectively wrap up the Teams Championship. That's a great result for this team. Luch, Monty, Buzzy Buswell, Dylan Buswell, Squirrel, all those guys have done a great job, and Shane Stewart looking to wrap up the win here. He's now the leader and driving away.
Yeah, it's been a good change of form for those guys in the Monty Motorsport team. They started the year, they didn't really have a lot of pace. They've changed chassis, they've changed setups, and now the last few rounds have been very, very strong as Shane Stewart and that whole team. So a great effort to turn the form around.
And remember, they won both nights at Bunbury last weekend in the 2nd last round. On board with Trent Pigden yet again. So the camera might be slightly off to the sideways, and maybe my head's falling off on the couch. Working our way off the turn here, Madsen. Slide job on him. 1 lap to go. He was born in Bixby, Oklahoma. He lives in Indianapolis now, driving for the ultra-professional Monty Motorsport team, and from Monster Energy and Milwaukee Power Tools, Shane Stewart wins the final dance. Big fireworks here at the Motorplex. Well done, Kerry Madsen in 2nd. He comes home. James McFadden in 3rd. What a fantastic finale, Jack.
Yeah, that was a really cool way to end the season. We had a lot of guys showing a lot of pace, some great racing, and look here, we see Shane Stewart doing the victory burnouts. That is awesome to watch on the infield. Good job, guys.
Also got to be careful you don't roll them over. Very difficult sometimes not to get yourself in trouble, but he's a professional. Certainly a lot of laps under that belt. There's the result. Shane Stewart, Madsen, McFadden, Kading, Ian Madsen, Robbie Farr, Randy Hannigan. Well done, Carl Dowling, Daniel Pesca. He's a sore boy. And Trent Pigden, top 10 for him tonight. Look at all those DNFs, all those tales of woe. A lot of damaged race cars, a lot of blown motors as well. Mark Wells didn't get to start, unfortunately, with that injury. Unfortunately, thanks to that universal. Here's Bryony Ingerson with the winner.
Shane Stewart, congratulations. Top contractor driver, 20K in the bank. That is a lot of Monster cans.
Yeah, it is. I can't thank Monster enough and all the guys that's involved with this team. Going into that feature, if you'd have told me that I was actually going to start the race in 4th position, I probably would have bet everything, the 20 grand plus the money I made tonight. But you know, they say luck's a lot of this sport, and you know, tonight was a good testament of that. It was a lot of luck, and you know, I hate it for Luke. He had a great car, and he did everything he had to do to win the points. And you know, sometimes it just doesn't fall in your lap, and sometimes it does. And you know, the last 2 weekends we've been able to capitalize on some of, you know, people's you know, just bad luck, more or less.
So in the end, the championship goes to James McFadden. Wow, Shane Stewart did a great job to try and run him down. Stephen Lyons was strong for 3rd. Stewart was actually the first contracted driver across the line. The Monty Motorsport team will win the team's championship. Great result for them. Well done, Luke Dillon. Tim Kading got Quitty Motorsport home to a top 5. Pesca, solid on debut with a top 6. Let's go down to Chad with our back-to-back champ.
Down off the podium, he's got the championship hat on, he's got the trophy in his hands, back-to-back.
Yeah, mate, it's a pretty surreal feeling. Glenn and Crackers and Scott and Seth Milling have given me an awesome car all year. And to get it done is awesome. It's so we go 3rd.
Now, look at this. George Tatnall, Brooke Tatnall, Max Dumsney, Skip Jackson, James McFadden, all back-to-back winners. How's that sound?
Yeah, it's pretty special, mate. It's a childhood dream. To do what we've done at this age is pretty cool, and definitely didn't think I'd be here, but we are, and we'll take it under our wing and have a good night tonight.
Luke Dillon, that's heartbreaking. What happened?
The motor seized up. I felt it vibrating, halfway through. I thought it was mud in the wheel or something, but it just seized up solid, and that was that.
Not your night, but overall, a real season to be proud of, I think.
Yeah, I was pretty happy, like this race, all I could do was get out in front and win it, and just had to, Shane was always going to come through, he always does, so I was just, doing what I had to do, and just fell a bit short.
Yeah, he's absolutely gutted. Well, congratulations to James McFadden. Well done, Shane Stewart, the NZ hose nurses, making sure everyone's very happy. Good job for Kerry Madsen too, on debut with World Series. Jack, what an amazing series it's been.
Yeah, it's been awesome to be a part of it. Thanks to all the teams, the drivers and fans for coming out and supporting. What a great series we have. We'll be back next year.
No doubt about it. Well done, Monty Motorsport. They wrap up the team's championship and get the feature race win here tonight as well. But that man right there, James McFadden, runs amok and goes back-to-back in 2013.